As we have Mr. Alma close supporting. Okay.
All right, welcome families. To those of us at home, this is our first time trying to live stream our parent conferences. We have some of our students here helping us out. So this will be available on our YouTube page. Welcome, I'm Ms. Venditti, principal of Longwood Prep. I'm excited that you're here. After our short presentation, Ms. Abayas is going to go over some safety information, but you will have plenty of opportunities to visit all of our tables, meet with some of the teachers here, and for those of you that are visiting from home after this presentation or before, you may have gotten a phone call from some of our teachers. If you need to follow up, you can reach out to the school, reach out to Ms. Fernandez, and we can follow up an in-person or virtual meeting if you weren't able to attend today. So today, again, welcome. We have some snacks in the back, we have some gear and some giveaways in the back room, some books. Sign up for our after-school program, sign up for your online account, so please make sure you visit those. Ms. Abayas is going to go over some important safety information that we want all families to hear. After that, our grade team counselors will be available along with some of our teachers for you to meet them upstairs on the first floor. So we'll post these rooms again, but you can go upstairs and there'll be a short presentation and you can have a one-on-one conversation with any of the teachers or counselors that are present. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Abayas, and again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nikki.
Sorry, we have to switch the mic. Probably making a ruckus.
I'm new to this part. All right. Good evening. Hola, ¿cómo están? I heard muy bien, ¿y tú? Okay, está bien. My people at home, my legendary family, we're trying this for the first time, so we hope you enjoy. I'm Ms. Abayas, la señora Bellas, asistente principal. I am the assistant principal here at Longwood. I also support with safety and just day-to-day procedures that your student might engage with. So your kid becomes my kid for the whole day until graduation. Some of you are looking at me like, yes, we know. Okay, so something very important, and it's just logistical things to go over. Your student received this information already, okay? These are emergency safety drills. Drills are communicated to our parents and our families via messenger. We don't tell you the exact date because we don't want you running over here for a drill. I know some of y'all, okay? But we do communicate and let you know that these drills are coming. We do things very transparently, and if there's ever a moment that your child has gone through something maybe traumatic, or you're like, if there's a drill, my kid might have a meltdown, let us know, and we'll be mindful to make sure we're supporting the student. But it is very important that students are practicing drills. We do use the word drill when it's a drill. If they do not hear the word drill, something's going on, okay? So we'll review very quickly some of the drills. We have what's called a hold. Can everyone say hold? Hold. Hold. Espérate, right? A hold just means when the child hears that, there will be no movement in the hallway. You must stay put wherever you are. It doesn't mean that there's an immediate danger or someone's life is on the line. It could be there's a spill. There's a big delivery coming up and we need to hold all passes to make sure that that happens safely. Or a glass broke or someone got sick. We are also a co-located campus. Let's say the other school calls EMS and their student has to be escorted down to an ambulance. We just hold to give that student some privacy. So a hold, what is it? Hold? I like participation. It just means we are holding all passes. That's it. And please quiz your kid about this, because guess what happens when we do a hold? Every time I say hold, you with me. They magically want to go to the bathroom at that time. Okay? Talk to your babies. Okay? A shelter in. Shelter in? Shelter in. Yes. A shelter in is usually when the danger is outside. Where is it? Outside. Exactly. We are sheltered in the building to make sure we are out of harm's way. there could be an active investigation happening outside. Our children do go back and forth from the PAL. If we're sheltered in, that means we're holding our students safely inside until we get notification that outside is safe, okay? So where's the danger if we have a shelter in? Where's the danger? Outside. Y'all about to graduate right now. Let me move on. All right. I'm gonna skip the middle one in the middle for a second. This is a soft lockdown. Everyone say soft lockdown. All right, if you hear that, that means there might be an issue inside the building. That does not mean that someone's life is on the line. It doesn't mean that, okay? Let's say a child went missing. Now it's high school, some of your kids cut. I'm not doing a shelter in or a soft lockdown for that. Let's say we were in an elementary and a little baby went missing. We will do a soft lockdown just to make sure everyone's safe inside. And what we call our floor wardens will look all around the school, make sure every door is locked, the door window to the classroom is covered, and we make sure that whatever danger is happening in the school is taken care of, and then business as usual, okay? So when we have a soft lockdown, where is the issue? Oh, we got like 50, where is it? That means I gotta do a review of that one, okay? Now, a hard lockdown happens inside the building, okay? That means there's immediate danger inside the building. No one is checking doors, everyone goes for safety. That means there's actually something very serious going on. The only person who can call for a hard lockdown is NYPD. Who? NYPD. Yes, only the cops can call. There's never a drill for it. We don't play around with it. We never use the term hard lockdown. Why? Because the same procedure that your child will do for a soft lockdown is the same thing for a soft lockdown is the same thing for a hard lockdown. They must go away from the door is locked, the window is covered, and we remain silent. But a hard lockdown means something serious is going on. We don't play around with those, okay? We've been lucky in the history of our building. We haven't had to activate that. We've been lucky. So that's just what that is. Evacuation drill, okay? That is also known as a fire drill. But to stand corrected, an evacuation drill is not only when you hear that you might think the building's on fire. There could be a leak, there could be gas, there could be whatever reason that the students are not, and staff, we are not safe to be inside, so we must evacuate, okay? Typically when we do the drill, you hear the fire alarm and students just evacuate, go up to either side of the perimeter until it is safe. Okay, and if your child tells you we're dragging it and taking long, we are, because we want to make sure that even with a practice, we are making sure each child is accounted for, even if it's a practice, okay? Any questions on our drills? All right, this is when you clap for me now. Thank you, thank you. All right, a few more policies. And I know this is the boring stuff, but cell phones. Raise your hand if you're addicted to your cell phone. Don't lie, parents. Don't be lying. Okay, so we do have our new cell phone policy. It is not a LPA policy. It is a state regulation. Don't fight with me, fight with the state. However, we take pride that we presented our version of the policy to our school leadership team who gave us feedback, and actually students feel comfortable and parents feel comfortable because we don't actually take the device away from them. We don't. We also believe it's not realistic to police cell phones. It is to teach young people how to monitor their cell phone use. So what does the policy mean? Students are prohibited from using personal internet-enabled devices during the school day. That means from 8 o'clock to 2:40. We do not see a phone, we do not see headphones, we do not see watches, we do not see iPads. We don't see it. For phones, students are given one pouch, and I have to say, and teachers could back me up, very few incidents here and there. Your students have been doing an amazing job. I want you to clap it up for your students who have been very, very supportive with this policy. Very much. Very few students have had a mishap with the pouch situation, but it shows that it's better to have a system that does not punish the collective, but just addresses the concern as needed. So our leadership team, along with our teachers and parents, voted for this. So we cannot see any device from 8 to 2:40. What does that mean? You're like, well, my kid has sports after school. At that point, it is up to the discretion of the coach or the teacher, but they can have their phone out if it's within reason. So it's only during instructional time. And we count that as soon as they come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? Students must keep the device in the pouch at all times. The pouch actually, what's the word? It takes off the internet, right? Disables, right? So the minute the phone is in the pouch, the child cannot receive messages or engage back and forth, okay? Any large device should not be brought to school. So iPads, leave them home. We are blessed to have much technology at the school building. If your child says they need a computer or an iPad for school, they don't. We provide those, okay? They're probably just on Instagram. Let's be real. So make sure you're speaking to your students to leave those devices at home. The pouch use, the child receives one pouch at the beginning of the year. If the child loses it or is damaged, we are able to give them one replacement. If the child loses the pouch or damages the pouch an additional time, we will provide a pouch, but at that point, we keep the phone. There is a box that remains in the principal's office because what that tells us is you're not responsible enough to maintain your phone and your pouch in good condition. That's it. If we see the phone after 3 write-ups, we also have it that the child must submit the phone to the principal and is kept in the main office. This way, there's no deals with a dean, or I like this kid, so I'm gonna hold their phone. It's fair. All phones go to the main office. It also makes it easier in the event you have to pick your child up early or you call for them. We're not looking around for a specific individual. We know where the device is located. I have to say we have about 2 to 3 creative young people on that list who already made it. And you know what? They looked at it as support. They didn't fight, the family didn't fight, and it was an agreement of instead of a mean consequence or the whole school going back to trying to submit their phone, the child's okay going, giving the phone in the main office and going about their day. So it's been working so far, okay? In the event that there's an emergency and you need to communicate with your child, first and foremost, your baby is safe with us. I love you. But there isn't much you're gonna do to save the day from your house if there's an emergency here. I wanna be very transparent with my families. Many were like, well, what if something happens and I can't contact my child? There's not much you can do. You probably will put yourself in danger if you try to run over here, if there was actually like the building's on fire. Think about that. Most of the trends that happened was unfortunately engagement over social media and conflict that occurred maybe over the weekend or overnight, and kids are still chatting about it on their phone. We're decreasing that. Tremendously, we've seen a decrease of that back and forth conflict that would happen via the phone, okay? But if you do have an emergency, something so much as I need someone to pick up my younger kid, and I need the child that we have to pick them up, you may call 718-860-1242. That is the main office. If you also tell your child, hey, I'm gonna call you around 12 because that's when I have a lunch break at work and I need you, the child can go to the main office and open the pouch right in front of the main office staff and not be in trouble. So as long as they don't do it during class time, and our staff and teachers know about this, this was presented to them, it is okay for the child to excuse themselves, go to the main office, retrieve their cell phone, because some of y'all have us blocked, I know, and you might answer when your child calls you from your phone, from their phone, okay? Now, this is in short, if a child violates the cell phone policy, which is keeping it in their pouch, like getting creative and putting like a book in the pouch instead of the phone. That actually happened already, okay? You get a verbal warning. Kids are kids, they're gonna try it. Not many did. We give a verbal warning. and it's documented. Whether it's the teacher or support staff, that's fine. Hey, don't do this again. No problem. The kid decides to do it again. We'll contact you at that point. We don't want to contact you the first time. There are young people, they're teenagers. We don't have to rush to you every single time. But if it happens a second time, the parent is contacted and the conversation is as follows. Hey, Chris got called for a second time with her phone. If it happens again, unfortunately, we're going to have to collect the phone. That's it. Simple. Cool. If the kid violates a third time, at that point, we remind you and the child that we had this conversation and they must submit their phone. In the event that the child is defiant, that's when we will follow a different ladder of maybe having a parent meeting, detention, things of that nature. It has not gotten to that as of yet, and we don't anticipate it getting there. There's a sense of security kids have by just keeping the phone near them. Any questions? Y'all want a pouch for your own phone? Yeah, I know. Okay. So some day-to-day things so you know the life of your child when they enter Longwood, okay? Morning entry. Arrival begins at 8. Students are provided breakfast if they want it. We changed our procedure. Last year and a few years before, students will enter through these double doors. We realized they lollygag and take their time to class, so we changed it. Students now, as of 8, are able to enter our school building using the double doors in the front. Why? Because they end up straight right there in the first floor, straight to their classroom. It is imperative that they have an ID. They swipe. The reason why we are very strict with the IDs is because we want our young people to get used to always carrying ID. Not just for school, but as they travel in the community and anywhere, it is very important for our young people to have ID at all times. So we make a big deal about it here too, just to get them accustomed to the real world. The beauty of the pouches, there's a little slot for their Omni cards and IDs right then and there. In the event that your child loses their ID or damages, they can go to Miss Lorraine in the main office. She has no issue giving them another one. There is not a charge. But please speak to your students about the importance of always, always, always carrying IDs, not just for us, but just as they navigate in the neighborhood or anywhere in the community and further, okay? If a child is late, they still will swipe in upstairs, or if we close those doors, they go through exit 6, which is the agent. Hopefully this is not the case for you, but we do have a team that conducts late calls, outreach calls, if your child is late. Why? 1, I don't want them to be late, and 2, it has a direct correlation to their academics. The more you're late to school, the more you're late to that class, the more you're going to fail that class. And that tells me you don't want to graduate on time. It also shows post-secondary habits. You can't be late to your job or you won't make money. When you tell them like that, they get it, right? So these are skills that we want to build both for school and their life after high school. Bathroom. If your kid said I said it, I did. There is no bathroom. First period, 6th period, and 8th. I'm not being mean. But in the history of working in a high school, I've never seen a high school kid go on themselves. Okay? It's not going to happen. First period, they just got here. They need to get to class. They do. 6th period is right after lunch. They had a total of average of 40 minutes to find a bathroom, and they chose not to. 8th period is the end of the day, and we saw trends. The kids are just antsy. Now, if we know it's a true emergency of a student that never asked, and we know it's a one-off, we're human, we understand, but we know our patterns and our trends. So we wanted to be very transparent and let you guys know what are the patterns, again, for bathroom in case your lovely student says I'm being mean. Blame it on me. Clinic passes. If your student is not enrolled for the clinic, it is a very good idea. In the event they get sick or they're playing sports and need physicals or checkup, they do dental. Again, they do not undo what their medical provider does for them. It's just a second layer of support here at the school level. They might get sick and you might be too far, can't get an appointment. They could be seen here at the clinic. In the event your student has an appointment, they receive an appointment card that allows them to go downstairs. If the child feels unwell at the moment, we still have to wait so the main office can assess and call the clinic. We're 3 schools. We don't know if the provider is backed up. We don't know if they're not available at the time, and we don't want your student just wandering around sitting there waiting for the clinic. So this is also communicated to them. Lockers, I know Ms. Diaz is hanging around somewhere back there. Hey, Diaz. Everybody say, hey, Diaz. Right. She's our locker person. So our lockers are zip tied right now. Why? This way you can't put your stuff in your own lock or something goes missing and we don't know what locker you were assigned. So Ms. Diaz has a beautiful system where she marks down the locker number and the lock we gave you. We do not ask families to provide a lock. We provide that for you. Okay? We do spot checks. If a child was not approved for their own lock for whatever reason and it has a lock, we clip them. Why? We have the key to every lock. We don't go searching your kid's stuff unless there's an emergency and there's reason for it. But most kids do not know how to open a locker, so we need to help them with the key. And that is why we don't allow them to put their own lock, because then we don't know how to open it either, okay? A few more other things, school-issued devices. Students are expected to use their NYC Students account for all their schoolwork. Not all work, let's be very clear, we're fading away from COVID. We want students to be able to produce here, right? Yes, there's work on the computer, but it's not a mindset that you're gonna find work for your student every day online. That is not how we operate. However, if they're communicating with us, if they're doing some schoolwork, NYC Students account is what they use. In the event that your child is in need, a dear need of a laptop, there is a process. There's a form you fill. We make sure they have no other device lingering out there in the universe, and we could provide it. We are not providing a one-to-one for every student. Every class has a cart of 25 to 30 devices in there for them to use. Children don't need to be responsible to carry devices back and forth. That's not realistic, and we don't expect them to do that. Lunch. Students are not allowed to go outside for lunch, and I stand by that. I get it. The schoolie is not that bad. Make sure you tell your kids. It's not like back in the era where we looked at lunch and we're like, ugh. The food is actually very good. They just have a myth that it's no good. But they cannot go outside for lunch, and second, they cannot order lunch to the building. I know some of y'all laughing. I know, don't get bamboozled by your children. No Uber Eats, no DoorDash, because then I'm going to eat swell that day. I'm going to eat real good when all these meals go to my office. No, I would never throw food away. I give you my word. But at times I do not give the bag to the child unless it's their lunch period. I'm not going to throw it away, but it's not allowed. They shouldn't be using their phone anyway. Unless you personally drop it off to them. One, the agents are not responsible to deal with any deliveries, not even for the adults. They do not hold the delivery for the adults either. So that's just a rule. So just make sure you reiterate to your students, if you're gonna get something, bring it early. Some of my families might be like, hey, my kid is starving today. Can you make it work for them? Sometimes I've tried if it's within my will, but that's not something that we do all the time, okay? Oh, one more thing I wanted to add for lunch. Students engage here in the small cafeteria, but there's also an amazing group of lunch clubs that are happening upstairs during that period too. There's programs, some of the teachers are sitting right here. They have programs happening if the kid wants to bring up their food and just do something, some extracurricular activities or tutoring. That is starting to pick up. We have a club fair happening tomorrow as well. So let your students know that we mentioned it today so they can sign up for lunch clubs and after school clubs, which will start October 6th. A few more things, transition. Students are given 2 minutes to transition from class to class. Our building is this small. We're a hot floor and a half. And then one classroom on the 3rd floor. But your kid might take 15 minutes to get there if we don't usher them out the way. Please continue to speak to your students and make sure they get their behinds to class on time. Again, lateness, not being in class on time has a clear academic impact. The more the kid is late to the class, the more information there are missing, and then it becomes a habit. Also, if they're not in class on time, then where are they? You're 9 out of 10 hanging out somewhere you're not supposed to, and that's why our team conducts sweeps, and we make sure to usher the kids where they need to be, okay? I think we talked a little bit about the student emails and laptops. Ski masks, I haven't seen them as much this year. Kids are creative. Kids were still wearing ski masks in 90-degree weather. Not sure what that's about. But ski masks are not allowed under any circumstance. It's for safety reasons. If something occurs, we cannot identify the individual. I kind of know most of your kids, even if they wear one, but for safety reasons, they're not allowed. Dismissal. All students must exit the building at 2:40. Now, I'm gonna tell you a secret. You ready for the secret? Say yes. I have 2 kids that I gotta pick up. Tell your kid go home. They don't go home. They don't go home. It is a beautiful thing to have students that want to be in our space at all times, but if they are not enrolled in either a sports program or after school program, they cannot linger in the building, okay? But they're more than welcome, especially Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, to engage in the lovely clubs that we have after school, and also when we start credit recovery or tutoring for them to engage there as well. Early dismissal. I'm looking at y'all now, real close. Do not call us and say your baby could go home early if there's no real emergency. And I know you might be at work, you're like, yeah, tell them I said yes. No, I'm gonna call your job back. I am. At times they get antsy, they need to be here bell to bell. It's very important, it adds up. We've seen some trends where parents are gonna be great parents and agree to their child. If there's not a real emergency happening, think about how many times in a year they're gonna try to call you to get them out of school early. That means that every time they miss that class, 2 to 3 classes, they're pushing their graduation. I want you to think about that. So unless it's a dear emergency or something came up, tell them no, don't call my phone. Okay. Last, we do provide working papers. The list is there. If any students need working papers, they see Ms. Lorraine in the main office. She does reiterate the items that the student needs to provide in order for the working papers to be provided to them. Same thing with the Omni cards, the Metro cards. If your child qualifies for it, they go to Ms. Lorraine. If they lose it, they go to Ms. Lorraine. And now there's been some changes on how the card can be used. It's all day. I think before it was like a certain amount of hours that the student could use the Metro card. They could use it every day of the year, not just school days. There's students that engage in sports or other enrichment activities that will require them to travel. I think they picked up on the fact that that can also happen during off time from the school and the child needed those services, okay? If, again, a card is lost or stolen, please report that to the main office so that Ms. Lorraine could update accordingly. All right, any questions for me? Before I hand it over to the wonderful Ms. Pena, y'all need to clap, 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 clap. Yay! I see the smile. Ms. Pena, our 12th grade school counselor, will be going over our transfers regulations. Here you go, Ms. Pena. I gotta mic you up.
Hi guys, good evening everybody. I feel like a little celebrity here. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, unfortunately, these topics are not as fun, right? And they're not as engaging, but there are chancellor's regulations that we all need to know. This information is going to be provided to our school staff. It is part of those same regulations, as well as your students. So all parties involved in the process are responsible for knowing that information and getting that information as well. The first chancellor's regulation is A750, right? Just a fancy code. But what it really means is for child abuse and neglect reporting purposes, every individual that works in a building, from a teacher down to school staff, even a janitor, is called a mandated reporter. Right? Meaning that any time that information is shared with any individual in the building and is reason to suspect child abuse or neglect, there is a legal responsibility to bring it to my attention as the liaison for the school. Again, Ms. Pena, and I'm the child abuse and neglect liaison for the school. And then we have to report that to the state central registry, right? I know in years past that could be a very scary thing when parents and families hear ACS is at the home. Nobody likes that invasion of privacy, of them coming to check what you're feeding your child, that things are, up to par to standards. But one of the biggest updates that they did this year is to try to really bridge that gap and make that collaboration where schools are working with the families and that preventative services are put in place so we can minimize the number of cases for ACS. Specifically for our children of color, right? Because what they found was that it's a very disproportionate ratio, and that sometimes it may look a little different in terms of the intervention that's needed, and it's not really abuse or neglect. So for example, they gave, right, if a family lives in a socioeconomic background where they don't have the financial resources to have a bed, right? It's not abuse and neglect if 5 people live under the same room and share a bed. It's a limitation of resources. And so what ACS is doing is working with a lot of preventative agencies that can offer those supports to our families. Again, as the liaison, that's always a call that you can make. There's also tons of numbers and resources that they put out there for families. But if you ever find yourself in a position of need, you can always contact myself, and then we can share the resources that we have available to the families to prevent an ACS call. Whether that's food, right? Food is a necessity. You're not gonna get a case for neglect because you're not giving your child Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. As long as there's food being provided to the best of the family's ability, then you're okay. And if those resources are needed, we definitely work with the community. We have a pantry on site that we can actually support our families. I do want to mention 2 other updates with ACS in terms of photos, right? In rare cases, and again, ACS takes calls until the age of 18, right? So you can discipline your child. We're not saying that you can't, but they would assess to what degree, right? So what's considered abuse. There's a difference between an open hand and tapping someone versus a closed fist and punching someone, right? In the event that any of those allegations are made to us, we do have a right to use a school device to take pictures and submit if the child feels comfortable doing so. Again, sometimes accidents can happen and it could be a bruise, right? They could be playing a sport as a minor. We're not gonna rush to call ACS because we don't know the nature of the bruise or the injury, but we will have a conversation, and most of those times, those conversations are brought to people with expertise in those specific areas. So either myself as a counselor, the school social worker, I might have a question, and again, if it's a resource that is the issue, then we will be able to help and support that, right, and find that. That also goes along with supports for your child with behavior, right? There's things in place that may not be neglect. Back in the day, there was a lot of phone calls for attendance, right? I'm gonna go on and say this in person. We are very big with attendance. Attendance is the #1 indicator of how a student is going to perform outside of school, but also what's going on in the home. So we do expect our children to be, our scholars, to be in school every day. But back in the day, educational neglect was a term that was used often, right? We're trying to stem away from that, but in order to do that, the school needs the collaboration of the parent, right? It's a little different if you're doing everything in your power as a parent to bring the child to school, and at this age, specifically in high school, it's a little bit more difficult because you're like, Ms. Pena, I can't put hands on the kid, I can't physically get him out to go to school. There are services that ACS works with in order to get them here. So services like what's called FAP, right? It's the Family Assessment Program. That's actually helping you, the parent, to say, I'm here and I'm collaborating with the school. It's not that I'm neglecting my child's needs, but I need support and I need help because they're running away or they're not coming to school every day, but I'm sending them. As long as those lines of communication are open between the school and the families, we can try to get the proper supports and avoid an ACS case. Now, if that doesn't happen and we make outreach and attempts like, hey, where's your child? I don't know, I send them and they're not coming. Hey, can we have a meeting? And you block us and we can't get in communication with you, then it's been a couple of days. I also have a child at home and I like my job. So they're gonna come and question me as why this child, even at the high school level, was chronically absent with over, just giving an example, 30 days absent in a school year and nothing was done to inquire to help the family, or nothing was done and the family didn't reach back out to the school. At that case, if I didn't see your child, I don't know the circumstances that are going on at home, and I might just do a wellness check and contact ACS so they can see what's going on. So just to give you guys some background there. Any questions with that one? I know that could be a little scary, but they're moving away from making it a disciplinary thing and more supportive to our families. The next one is also very important for our families and our school community, right? Our Chancellor's Regulation A755 is our suicide prevention. For this specific type of situations or cases, we do have a school social worker on site. Her name is Miss Young. Again, this information doesn't need to, just to backtrack very quick for child abuse and neglect. We also don't need to, and we as a school community, we don't need to contact the parent to say we're making an ACS call, right? So just so you guys are informed of that procedure before we move to suicide, they get the call within 24 hours. They have to respond to the call within 24 hours. So they'll contact you or the family should it be a case that really warrants ACS. And then they'll conduct an investigation, depending. The school doesn't determine whether ACS should be involved or not. That's not our job, right? We're not the investigators. Our job is to make sure that we get the resources and help that child if need be. ACS conducts the investigation. It'll be open for 60 days. So they will work with preventative and with the families to determine whether that case is founded or not founded, and then they take it from there. Again, just to reiterate, the school calls ACS if needed, and they conduct the investigation, not the educators in the building, okay? Going back to Chancellor's Reg A755, if you have a child in the past who has had suicidal ideation, or if they make any comments to you about harming themselves, our students know and our school staff is very informative with them whenever we meet with them for sessions that confidentiality, meaning that we cannot report everything that is said unless it's a harm to them or someone else. For suicidal ideation, confidentiality goes out the window. So if they ever mention anything like that to a teacher or put anything in writing, or if any of our staff see any of the warning signs that we'll conduct in our trainings, they are responsible to contact Ms. Young, who is the school liaison. And just so you guys know how that works, she will conduct an assessment, right? And she will determine based on that assessment if a call needs to be made and if a child needs to be escorted to the hospital for additional treatment. The parent will always get a call. So if you're on that blue card, please know that you will get a call. And if we determine that we have to call the ambulance and support your child, you can either meet us here at the school and say, yes, that's fine. I want to ride with my child to the hospital, or meet us at the hospital, but they will be escorted. Procedures are then put in place to make sure that the child is not in harm's way while they're in the school building. But just so you guys are made aware, you do have a responsibility to meet us in the hospital should any of that ever happen, and pick up your child from there, and then we could continue talking to the doctors with your consent for additional treatment in the school. Student-to-student sexual harassment, also going into Chancellor's Reg 833. It happens, right? We're in high school, and harassment is such a broad term and could be a spectrum of different things. But when it's a student-to-student sexual case, if it's a case of bullying, right, where it's just constant, where there's an aggressor and it's just constant repetition to hurt your child emotionally, physically, any of those complaints will be given to these two individuals. Mr. Carrington is one of our school counselors. They're in the back. Hi, Carrington. He is our sexual harassment student-to-student liaison in the school. So if your child ever feels uncomfortable, or if they say something to you that hasn't been brought to our attention, you can take a picture of this if need be, but Mr. Carrington would be the person to email, unless they feel comfortable saying it to someone else in the school building. Doesn't always have to be one of us. If they feel comfortable sharing with any individual, just know that it will come back to us, and Mr. Carrington will follow the steps and protocols to follow up with that report. If those things are deemed founded, right, so just so everyone is aware, an investigation is conducted where we'll get reports from the students, right? Students say things to each other, and there's a difference between conflict and harassment and bullying and conflict. Conflict is expected, but the harassment is a no-go. We don't tolerate it here, and we try to nip it in the bud to the best of our ability. I have to say that 10 years in the school, and I'm very proud to say that we're typically not a school with bullying situations. Conflict, yes, but for the most part, there's an understanding of how we operate as a school community. Again, the investigation would be conducted, reports will be taken, and then the follow-up will happen to the, with the parent, and we'll let you know if it was founded and what kind of solutions we could come up with together, whether that's a mediation with all parties, whether that's an option where you feel like, I just want to transfer my students, so all options will be considered once we get the outcome of that investigation. And kind of the same thing for 832. That's the respect for all piece that ties back into the bullying. Mr. Smith is the liaison for that here in the school building. He was right outside greeting you guys as they were coming in through the walk-in table. He's also a counselor. So just know that we try to make sure that your kids are in good hands, and the people that are having these conversations with your students have a great deal of knowledge and backgrounds in these areas. Again, the same way we're presenting this information to you guys today, we will be going into the classroom. All the students get the same information so they know what to do and what's expected for protocols, as well as our school staff. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Ms. Lee. One second, she has her nails on.
These are press-ons, get away. And this is going live. It's just one slide. First, I want to start this last segment by shouting out someone very special in the crowd, Miss Dash, our Parent Association President. Wave to the people. Ms. Fernandez is the parent coordinator. I see Ms. Sanders in the crowd, who's also part of the PTA. Hi, Ms. Sanders. Ms. Medina in the front. If I miss any of the amazing people that make up the PA, please wave at me. I look crazy right now, but I did want to shout them out because it's very difficult to get a parent turnout at the high school level. So that is also a reflection of the good work and the dedication everyone in front of me right here, including our staff, does for our high school students. Why? Our teachers in the back, you're going to clap it up in 1 second for them. They had the choice of being remote, and they chose to be here with you. Thank you, staff. Thank you. Our parents who are here, thank you. Your baby is grown, but you still showed up. Clap it up for yourself. And a few last but very important items. If you change your number or change who has access to your child, it is imperative. Forget your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mother, your grandmother. Give us the number first. Ms. Fernandez, wave one more time. She has forms if you need to update the contact. We experienced it already, and it is the 3rd week of school where a child needed to contact their family. They were not feeling well, and we were unable to do so. There was no working number in the system. Thank you, Ms. Fernandez, for being an FBI agent. She actually looked up that the student had a sibling and called that other school for the number. So we were able to support. But all jokes aside, it is imperative that you update your contact at all times, okay? We are gonna harass you. Just, if you don't like it, send us to voicemail. But that's okay, just let us have the right number. There is a club fair tomorrow. It is hard to engage the youth sometimes because the only thing they find fun is their phone, okay? TikTok or something. But we are having a club fair. If there's something your child's interested in and they don't see it, please go to Mr. Jones, myself, whoever it is. But we like to make sure that our students have something that they connect to, okay? We have millions of different clubs every year, and tomorrow we'll have a fair where they can sign up or also just see what's out there. They might be a little shy, but if you're sitting in the audience with us today, nudge them like, hey, I'm gonna ask you about the club fair tomorrow. Make sure you sign up for something, okay? There is a parent association meeting here October 6th. I believe it's at 5, Ms. Dash? 6? 6 o'clock. It's at 6 o'clock. In order to advocate, in order to move the needle for our high schoolers, we need you. I only stopped by for the food. I don't really have a say in that meeting. The food was good, right? That chicken was good last week, all right? I know, I didn't cook that day. Marking period 1 ends October 3rd. You blink and it's over. Please, I've heard it from students, Miss A, it turns around so fast. They have amazing teachers that are willing to help them. That doesn't mean the teacher is, and yes, I said it, they do not have to wait to the last minute and try to get all the work in, and these poor people in the back are cramming to grade that work. Some of them do it, most of them do. I don't think it's fair. I'm very transparent. Make sure your child is getting the work done on time, and if something happened, that they're communicating way before October 6th. Way before October 6th, so that they're able to make up that work and get a good grade for the first marking period. It's a good indicator of how the rest of the term is going to be, okay? Don't forget, we have a lot of giveaways. We have clothing on the other side of the room, books, things of that nature. In a few minutes, our staff is going to go upstairs. I'm going to change the slide in a second. I'm going to give them time to go up now. So our staff, if you were assigned to a room, please make your way up there. My lovely parents, you're going to stay with me for another minute, and then I'll show you where you're going, okay? We did a good job? Yeah, I know. I'm my biggest cheerleader. Don't worry. For my 9th grade families, any 9th grade families here? Not yet. Oh, my little auntie, where your mama? I gotta tell her, that's your kid? Awesome, steal the bacon, champ. Nobody can see you on that field. It was over. Oh, you ain't tell your mama about that? Okay. Clap it up for 9th grade. I'm a hype man. In my other life, I was like a hype person. Grade 10, you're going to go to 107 with Mr. Carrington. Any 10th grade families here? I see you, girl. Any 11th grade family for Mrs. Smith? Yeah, George, right? Yeah, my boy. Tell him I liked his suit from today. I saw him in the morning. And last but not least, for my 12th grade families, I see you, Mom. You're going to go to room 114 with Miss Pena, okay? You're going to make your way upstairs, and if you have time after, you'll drop down and get some more freebies, okay? Thank you for being with us tonight. Stay legendary. Bye.